Hello students, let us start with the chapter 2. In this chapter we are going to study regarding the database system concepts and architecture. Let us have a glance at the outline of what is there in this particular chapter. Here we are going to discuss regarding data models, schemas and instances. Then we are going to study about three schema architecture, why it is important and what do you mean by data independence. Then we'll be having a look at database languages and interfaces. Then the database system environment, centralized and client server architecture for DBMS. Then at last we'll be studying about different types of database management systems. First, let us concentrate on what do you mean by a data models. A data model is nothing but a set of concepts to describe the structure of a database, the operations for manipulating these structures, and certain constraints that the database should obey. So there are three things that we are going to concentrate in this data model. One is the structure of database, how it is looking, and what are the operations that are supported by this database, and apart from that what are the constraints under which this database should work. So these are the three things which we will be studying in data model. Then data model structure and constraints. Here we are making use of constructs, right? Constructs are used to define the database structure. That is, if you want to define any database, then we will be making use of a constructs for constructing a database structure. Then constructs typically include elements. What are the things that we will be having in construct is the element, and apart from that we are going to have a data type as well as groups of elements, and as well as groups of elements like entities, records, tables, and apart from that we'll be having relationships that is going to be existing between the various elements. And what is the use of a constraints? Constraints specify some restrictions on valid data. These constraints must be enforced at all the times. That is, for example, when we are saving a name of a particular student or any faculty or something, we are restricting it to be consisting of only characters over there. Such constraints which will be we are going to see it in the further classes. Then data model operations. Data model operations, there are some basic operations like insert, delete, all these things. Apart from that, we can have our own operations. These operations are used for specifying database retrievals, updates by referring to the construct of the data model. So here we are going to discuss regarding insertion, deletion, all these things, updation. Apart from that, there are some basic operations. Operations on the data model may include basic model operations, example, generic, insert, delete, update, all these things. And apart from that, we are going to have user-defined operations. For example, compute student, GPA, update inventory. So these are the user-defined functions. And apart from that, we'll be having basic operations also. Then we will see at the different categories of data model. Data models are classified as a conceptual data models of physical or low level or the internal data models, or the third thing is implementational or the representational data models. First we will see what is the conceptual or the high level or the semantic data models. They provide concepts that are close to the way many users perceive data. When we are going to store the data in the database, how we are going to perceive the data, right? That is how actually user is assuming what kind of data it is being saved in the database and all. So that is the conceptual view, or we can call it as conceptual data model, also called entity based or object based data model. Then we have second thing as high level is done. Then we have physical or low level internal data models. So why we make use of this model is it provides concepts that describes details of how data is stored in the computer. These are usually specified in an ad hoc manner through DBMS design and administration manuals. So the users of conceptual data models are different people. It is used by the end users, and then physical or low level internal data models, it is used by the designers who are going to design the database and who are dealing with the storage of the data. Then we have third kind of data model, that is implementational or the representational data models. It provides concepts that fall between the two, that is It is in between the conceptual model and the physical model and used by many commercial DBMS implementations. Example, relational data models used in many commercial systems, all the things. Then apart from that, we also have uh, ODMG, that is Object Data Model Group. Okay, here it is a combination of the relational model. Along with that, we have the concept of objects as well. Apart from this, physical data model describes how data is stored as files in the computer system by representing information such as record formats, what is the format of the record, and in what ordering the particular record is going to be saved. And apart from that, what are the different access paths. Based on this, your physical data model is residing. And apart from this, we have index. We can make use of index, or we can make use of hashing for physical data models. Then we have another class of data model which is known as self-describing data models. The data storage in systems, in such kind of systems, are based on this models that combines the description of the data with the data values themselves. In traditional DBMS, what happens is the description is separated from the data. These models include XML, and apart from that, we have key values stores and NoSQL systems, which are the example for self-describing data models. Now we will see some of the basic definitions of schema, what do you mean by schema diagram, construct, all these things. First, let us see regarding the database schema. Database schema is nothing but a description of a database. It includes description of database structure, what kind of data types we are going to make use of, and what are the constraints under which the database should work. Everything constitutes your database schema. And if you are making use of some diagram, then it is known as schema diagram. Schema diagram is an illustrative display of a database schema. We'll be looking at this in the next slide. Then we have schema construct. A schema construct is nothing but a component of the schema or an object within the schema. Example, student, course, faculty, college, university. So these are all the schema constructs. Then we have database states. The database state is nothing but the actual data stored in a database at a particular moment in time. Whenever we are going to store some information in a particular database, it is known as the current state of the database. This includes the collection of all the data in the database. When we are dealing with database states, it represents the whole data. If you are having more than 5 tables or 6 tables or something, all data, everything data that is present at the particular instant, that is known as a database state. It is also called database instance or occurrence or snapshot. There are various names for this database state. The term instance is also applied to individual database components. For example, record instance, table instance, entity instance, etc. Now we will see the difference between database schema and database state. First, let us see regarding the database state. It refers to the content of a database at a moment in time. Then, what do you mean by initial database state? It refers to the database state when it is initially loaded in the system. Then we have valid state. What do you mean by valid state? A state that satisfies the structure and constraints of a database. When we are going to have a structure of a database, then we are going to have a lot of constraints, right? That constraints, if everything is being satisfied, when we are going to enter some values and all, then we say that the particular state of a database is a valid state. Now we will see what's the difference between database schema and database state. The major distinction is the database schema changes very infrequently. That is, once a schema is done, right? Once we prepare a particular schema, it will be not changing its whatever the content we have framed over there, right? Schema remains unchanged for the longer duration of time. But when we are dealing with database states, it changes every time the database is updated. When we are inserting the value, or we are updating the value, or we are deleting some content, then the database state changes. So we can say that database schema changes very infrequently. That is, when the database schema changes is when we are when we want to remove some attribute, or we want to add some attribute, or we want to rename the attribute. In this scenarios, the database schema changes. But when database state changes is when we update the values, and apart from that, when we insert a new table, or when we delete a particular row, at this particular instant of time, database state changes. And then we have schema is also called intention, right? So another name of our schema is intention, and state is also called extension. So this is an example of a database schema wherein we can see the entities like student, course, prerequisite, section, grade report. So these are all the various entities, and in each entity there are a lot of attributes. Like student entity is having attribute name, student number, class, major. So these are the attributes of the table or the entity student. So this is an example of schema diagram for the database. This is an example for database state. You can see we have entities like course, section, grade report, prerequisite, right? Apart from schema, like the outer boundary regarding what attributes it is having, apart from that, it is having the values, right? We have inserted various tuples, or we can say it as various records, right? For the course, we have 4 records stored. Introduction to computer science, and the full thing, it is 1 row, right? Then we have data structures, discrete mathematics, database row. All the rows constitute the database state. So this is representing the database state, which is nothing but at particular instant what values we have stored. So that is the database state. Then we will look at 3 schema architecture. 3 schema architecture, why it was proposed is, it was proposed to support DBMS characteristics, right? We have seen the 4 characteristics of the database. Out of this, 3 schema architecture supports 2 characteristics. First one is program data independence, and the second one is support of multiple views of the data. Program data independence is if you're changing the content of a data, then no need of changing the program, right? If you're changing the program, no need of changing the data content. So that is a data program independence. Then we have support of multiple views of the data. Here we can construct multiple views for the same database, right? As I have already said in the previous class, if we consider the database of a university, VTU, right, which is our own university, here what is going to happen is, for different people different views are shown, right? For the students, like they can enter the, like if they want to see the results, the view is a different thing, right? Wherein user is, I mean the student is going to insert his or her USN. Then when we click on search or submit button, then we will be able to see the marks code in a particular subject, right? For the people who are dealing with a database, that is those who are going to upload the marks and all, for them different view of the same database is shown over there. So we can say that DBMS supports multiple views for the data, not explicitly used in commercial DBMS products, but has been useful in explaining database system organization. Whatever the 3 schema architecture we are going to study, it is useful for us in understanding how actually a database is organized. Here we are going to study about 3 schema architecture. It defines DBMS schemas at 3 level. One is internal schema, then we have conceptual schema, and the third one is external schema. Internal schema at the internal level to describe physical storage structures and access paths. For example, indexes typically uses a physical data model. Here we are making use of physical data model, right? In the previous slide we had seen there are three kind of models. One is conceptual, or we have physical model. Then we had what was the other model that we had seen was external model, right? So these are the three kind of models which we are going to study now, right? Internal schema at the internal level to describe physical storage structures and access path. It typically uses physical data model. Then we have conceptual schema at the conceptual level to describe the structure and constraints for the whole database for the community of users. When we are dealing with conceptual schema, here we are going to concentrate on the structure and what are the constraints under which our database has to work, and it uses a conceptual or the implementational data model. Then we have external schemas at the external level to describe the various user views. Here we can make use of the same data model as the conceptual schema. This is a three schema architecture, right? Here what we have is three levels. We have external level, conceptual level, and the internal level. In the external level, what we are going to have is we will be having a multiple views. Each for each user we are going to have a different view. At the top we will be having end users for whom we are setting the views. Then we have a conceptual level. In between conceptual level and the external top level, what we have is we should be having a mapping. That is, when someone is requesting something from a database, right, then what has to be done is the whatever he has asked, the same response should be given to him, right? So for that reason there should be some mapping, right? So between external level and the conceptual level we are going to have external conceptual mapping, and in between conceptual schema and the internal schema we are making use of conceptual or the internal mapping. Mapping among schema levels are needed to transform request and data, right? As I already said, why we require mapping is mapping is required because we want to map the user to the database, right? When a particular user is requesting some information, for him the same information has to be sent back, right? Programs refer to an external schema and are mapped by the DBMS to the internal schema for execution. During execution what happens is programs, what they do is they refer to the external schema and are mapped to the DBMS to the internal schema for execution. Then data extracted from the internal DBMS level is reformatted to match the user's external view, right? The data will be present in different format in the database that has to be modified so that it should be given to the user in a correct format. Then we were discussing regarding data independence. Here we have two kind of independence. First one is logical data independence, then we have physical data independence. What do you mean by logical data independence? Is the capacity to change the conceptual schema without having to change the external schemas and their associated application programs, right? Whenever we are changing the conceptual schema, there should not be a need to change the external schema. So such independence is known as logical data independence. Then we have physical data independence, that is nothing but the capacity to change the internal schema without having to change the conceptual schema. That is, if you are changing something in the internal, not of changing it in the external. So that is known as a physical data independent. For example, the internal schema may be changed when certain file structures are reorganized or new indexes are created to improve database performance, right? So in this scenario what has to be done is we are changing the internal schema and that should not make us to change the conceptual schema. So this is regarding physical data independence, right? Then what we have is data independence. When a schema at the low level is changed, only the mappings between this schema has to be changed. So that is the meaning of data independence. Regarding DBMS languages, we'll be having that session in the next class. Thank you.